If your grocery cart looks normal but your receipt keeps getting harder to believe, you are not imagining it. A lot of people are feeling that exact mismatch right now. Same routine, same store, same shelf, different result. Less in the bag, more at the register, and somehow the food still does not stretch the way it used to. That is not a personal failure. It is the system. And in this video, I want to show you the patterns behind it so you can stop getting quietly squeezed by products that look familiar, sound healthy, or feel like a good deal until you look a little closer. Because the grocery trap is usually not one big lie. It is 100 small ones. A front label that sounds cleaner than the ingredient list. A package that looks the same but holds less. A recipe that changed without much noise. A convenience item that charges you for packaging, prep, and waste before you even take the first bite. By the end, you will know how to spot the trap faster than most shoppers do. Not with panic. With calm, repeatable checks that protect your money. Let us start with the first thing that gets people every single week. The front of the package. Words like natural, wholesome, fresh, real, protein-packed, made with, crafted with, or farm style are not the full story. They are the opening line of the sales pitch. They are there to make the product feel better before you ever turn it around. And that is where the real value check begins. The back of the package tells a more honest story. The ingredient list shows what is actually doing the work. The nutrition panel shows whether you are paying for food that truly satisfies or for air, starch, water, sugar, and marketing. Here is the practical rule. If the front is making you feel something, the back should be making you think. That is especially true with products that use healthy-sounding language to hide weak value. A yogurt can say high protein, but the serving size may be small enough that you need 2 cups to feel full. A granola can say made with whole grains, but the sugar can still be doing most of the heavy lifting. A frozen meal can sound balanced, but the vegetable content may be tiny while the sauce and starch fill the box. This is how a product becomes a trap without looking like one. So when you are in the aisle, do one thing before you buy. Turn the package over. Check the first 3 ingredients. Check the serving size. Then ask a simple question. Is this feeding me or just marketing me? That is the first filter, and it matters more than most people realize because the shelf is built to reward quick decisions. Bright colors, bigger claims, familiar brand shapes, and words that imply health all push your brain toward trust before your eyes have done the math. But the math is where the money lives. Once you start reading the back first, a lot of expensive products lose their magic very quickly. Now let us talk about the one shoppers feel immediately, even if they do not know the word for it. Shrinkflation. This is when a familiar package gets smaller, lighter, thinner, or shorter, while the shelf price stays annoyingly close to what it was. Sometimes the box keeps the same shape, but the contents shift. Sometimes the bag looks full because of air. Sometimes the count drops by 1 or 2, and the package is redesigned so the change does not shout at you. That is why people stand in the store saying, "This used to last longer." They are right. A cereal box can lose ounces and still look like the same family size. A chip bag can feel puffed up but hold less. A paper goods pack can shrink by a few rolls. A cheese package can become thinner. A coffee bag can quietly lose weight while the price per bag inches upward. None of this is random. It is meant to reduce the shock of the change. The manufacturer would rather you notice a slight difference and keep shopping than notice a big change and stop buying. So here is your defense. Do not compare package size by memory. Compare weight, count, and unit price. The shelf tag usually tells the truth faster than the front of the box does. If one box is $4.99 for 12 ounces and another is $5.29 for 10 ounces, the cheap-looking one may actually be the expensive one. That is the whole trick. The package is trying to win your eye before your calculator gets involved, and once you start noticing this, the store feels different. Not worse, just clearer. Because the next trap is even harder to spot. Reformulation. This is when a product keeps the same name and the same familiar packaging, but the recipe changes quietly. Maybe a more expensive ingredient gets reduced. Maybe a cheaper one takes its place. Maybe the texture changes. Maybe the flavor gets flatter. Maybe the product no longer satisfies the way it used to, so you finish it faster or buy more often without realizing why. That is the part many people feel as a vague disappointment. It tastes off. It does not hold you over. It does not melt the same. It gets soggy faster. It seems less rich, less filling, less worth it. But because the label still looks familiar, your brain assumes the problem is your memory. Usually, it is not your memory. It is the recipe. And this can happen slowly enough that you only notice after months of buying the same thing and wondering why it no longer feels like the same meal. This is why the ingredient list matters so much. If a product that used to start with milk, oats, flour, beans, fruit, or nuts now starts with water, starch, sugar, oil, or modified ingredients, you are looking at a different deal even if the brand never announced it loudly. And there is a consumer lesson here that saves money over time. If a food leaves you less satisfied, it is not a bargain just because the sticker price looks acceptable. A cheap item that disappears in 30 minutes can cost more than a slightly higher-priced item that actually holds you over. That is the real math of grocery value. Not just cost per package, cost per meal, cost per hour of satisfaction, cost per person actually fed. Now let us move into the category that quietly drains a lot of households. Convenience. Convenience is not always bad. Sometimes you need it. Sometimes time matters more than money. Sometimes the right ready-made item genuinely helps the week work. But convenience has a tax, and many shoppers pay it automatically. Pre-cut fruit costs more because someone already cut it. Salad kits cost more because someone already washed, chopped, bagged, and separated the dressing. Single-serve cups cost more because you are paying for packaging and portion control. Prepared meals cost more because the store is charging for labor, branding, refrigeration space, and waste. Deli items can be practical, but if you buy them on autopilot, the cost per meal can climb fast. The trap is not that convenience exists. The trap is forgetting to ask whether it is worth the premium today. A salad kit looks tidy and easy, but compare it to loose vegetables and one simple dressing at home. A prepared tray looks efficient, but compare the price to a basic protein, a starch, and a frozen vegetable you can portion yourself. A snack cup looks harmless, but compare what you get to a larger bag or container at the unit price. This is not about denying yourself convenience. It is about choosing it on purpose. That one shift changes everything. When convenience is a choice, it is useful. When it is a habit, it becomes leakage. And leakage is what most grocery budgets are dealing with right now. It often does not show up as one huge mistake. It shows up as a dozen tiny premiums that feel reasonable in isolation. Extra for the chopped fruit, extra for the ready sauce, extra for the individually wrapped snacks, extra for the brand that saves 2 minutes. Those minutes matter. But if you are paying for them every day without measuring the trade-off, the month gets away from you. The next trap is the brand habit trap. This one is very human. People buy the same brand for years because they trust it, because their family likes it, because it feels safer, or because they do not want to gamble on a new product. That is understandable. But brands know that loyalty can survive a lot of price movement, package shrinkage, and quiet quality changes. So the question is not, is this a good brand? It is this still a good buy? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it is no. A store brand can be a better value. A larger size can beat the smaller familiar one. A different version of the same product can deliver the same result with less money. The key is to stop comparing emotionally and start comparing by actual use. If it is bread, how many sandwiches does it really make? If it is cereal, how many breakfasts does the box actually cover? If it is cheese, how many meals does the block support? If it is sauce, how many dinners does it stretch across? That is where value becomes real, because a brand name is not dinner. A logo is not a meal. A familiar color scheme does not feed the household. What feeds the household is useful food at a fair cost. And this is where loyalty can become expensive without feeling expensive. The brand keeps the same tone, the same packaging cues, the same promise. Your memory fills in the rest. But the shelf does not care about your memory. It only cares about what you will pay today. So if a brand has earned your trust, let it keep earning it. If it has not, do not keep renting that trust for free. Now, let me give you a quick reset, because this is the moment where a lot of people start recognizing their own cart. If your grocery cart feels more expensive but not more useful, here is the pattern behind it. The store is often selling appearance, convenience, and habit before it sells actual value. The carton looks premium. The front label sounds healthy. The portion got smaller. The recipe changed. The package feels familiar, so your brain gives it a pass. That is how the squeeze works. But once you know the pattern, you can interrupt it. Here is the 10-second grocery check. You can use it on almost anything. Check the unit price. Check the weight or count. Check the first 3 ingredients. Check whether the serving size is actually realistic for your household. That is it. 4 checks. No drama. No panic. Just clarity. And if you are shopping with kids, or shopping after work, or shopping while tired, this check is even more important, because fatigue makes the shelf more persuasive than it should be. The more rushed you are, the more the store benefits from you skipping the details. Now let us look at the categories where this matters most, because not every item deserves equal attention. Some products are worth the premium. Many are not. Cereal is a common trap, because the box can look generous while the ounces shrink and the sugar stays high. Yogurt can look like a healthy buy until you realize the serving size is small or the sugar load is doing more than the protein. Cheese can be tricky because the package size changes, the shredded bags are filled with air, and the price per ounce can jump without much notice. Snacks are notorious because they sell convenience and impulse in the same bag. Frozen meals are another big one. They look simple, they are easy to overtrust, but many are priced far above the amount of actual food you get, especially when the vegetable portion is small and the starch or sauce takes over. Drinks can be even more deceptive. Juice drinks, flavored waters, sweetened teas, and protein beverages often sell the feeling of wellness or energy while delivering less useful value than the label suggests. Bread and bakery items can also change quickly. The slice count, loaf weight, and softness do not always match what your memory expects. Sauces deserve attention too. A jar can look normal, but if the recipe shifted and the flavor is weaker, you may use more of it to get the same meal. That means a hidden cost. Deli items can fall into the same pattern. They are convenient, but the markup can be steep, especially when the portions are small and the expiration window is short. The practical lesson is simple. Check the categories you buy most often first. That is where the money leaks fastest. Do not try to analyze every item in the store. Focus on repeat purchases. The items you buy every week or every month are the ones that compound into real loss or real savings. And if there is one more layer here, it is this. The store often makes the most common items the hardest to compare by design. They are placed at eye level, grouped by brand family, and priced in ways that make the difference between sizes feel small, even when it is not. That is why a simple habit like looking one shelf up or one shelf down can matter. The better value is not always placed where you naturally look first. And if you want a calmer way to think about all of this, use this question while you shop. Is this item actually solving a problem, or is it just making the cart feel easier to fill? That one question can save a surprising amount of money, because grocery stores are designed to make filling the cart feel like progress. But progress is not a fuller cart. Progress is a cart that supports your household without wasting money. Here is another thing people often miss. Some products are sold as if they are special, but the real difference is tiny. Take premium-sounding cereals, artisanal bread, brand-name sauces, enhanced waters, fancy chips, and snack bars. They often look like upgraded versions of ordinary food. Sometimes they are better. Often they are just dressed up better. The upgrade can be packaging, not nutrition. Branding, not satiety. Convenience, not quality. That is why the unit price matters so much. It cuts through the costume. If two products are doing the same job, The one with the friendlier price and the cleaner ingredient list may be the smarter buy. Not every time, but often enough to deserve a look. And if you are shopping for a family, this matters even more. Because one decision does not just affect one meal, it affects the whole week. That is why the most financially protected households are not the ones buying the absolute cheapest thing every time. They are the ones who know what is worth paying for and what is not. They have a mental list. Worth paying for. Maybe eggs, if the price is reasonable. Maybe a certain yogurt that actually keeps people full. Maybe a bread that lasts and is used up. Maybe a coffee or tea that genuinely matters to the routine. Maybe a prepared item on a week when time is tight. Not worth overpaying for. Airy snacks, over-branded pantry fillers, tiny convenience packs, weak sauces, overpriced drinks. Repackaged basics that pretend to be premium. That is the shift, not deprivation. Discernment. And discernment is powerful because it removes the emotional pressure from the shelf. The shelf is no longer making the decision for you. You are. Now let us connect the whole thing, because all of these traps are part of the same system. The front label creates confidence. The package shape creates familiarity. The smaller size hides the cut. The recipe change lowers the value without loudly admitting it. The convenience markup charges extra for speed. The brand habit keeps you from questioning the deal. That is the structure. It is not that every product is bad. It is that the store environment rewards you for not looking too closely. And most people are busy, tired, and trying to feed a household. The system counts on that. So your protection is simple awareness, applied consistently. There is also a timing angle here that helps. Prices do not move evenly, and products do not change all at once. A store can look stable for months and then quietly adjust several categories at once. That is why a once-a-month reset on your staple items is useful. It gives you a chance to catch changes before they become your new normal. Here is the grocery rule I would keep in mind from this video. Do not buy by image. Buy by use. Do not buy by memory. Buy by weight, count, and unit price. Do not buy by front label. Buy by ingredients and serving size. Do not buy convenience automatically. Buy it only when it truly saves time worth paying for. If you use those 4 rules, you will not catch every bad deal, but you will catch enough of them to protect a meaningful amount of money over time. And that is the real goal. Not perfection, protection. Not panic, control, not buying more, buying better on purpose. Before you go back into the store, take 1 minute at home and make a short list of the products in your kitchen that are worth keeping and the ones that no longer earn their place. That could be your cereal, your coffee, your yogurt, your bread, your frozen meal, your snack, or your sauce. You do not need a giant system. You need a few honest comparisons. The household that stays financially steady is not the one that never feels pressure. It is the one that sees the pressure clearly and adjusts without drama. And if you want to make the next trip easier, keep one quiet habit. Put the unit price in the front of your mind before the brand name gets there. That one habit alone changes the whole aisle. If this breakdown helped you spot a few things, you will check differently next time. Stay with this channel. We keep breaking down the grocery system in plain language so you can protect your money, your time, and your household without getting overwhelmed. Because once you see how the pattern works, the store stops feeling like a maze. It becomes a place you can navigate.